Check out the NBC Sports Now channel live all week from New Orleans. Get insider access and analysis from Matthew, Mike Florio, Cris Sims, Dan Patrick, and Dan Levitard. Plus, don't miss interviews with NFL stars, coaches, and celebrities. The NBC Sports Now channel is available on Peacock, the Roku channel, Samsung TV, and more. Visit NBCSports.com/now for more details. And one of those celebrities, busiest people on Radio Row, joins us in Jay Glazer. Jay, how are you, man?
Doing great, man.
Just seeing you running around every desk in this place right now.
Well, here's the problem. So first off, Fox has the game this year, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of duties there. And the other problem is that Jay Glazer knows everybody.
Yeah. Right.
And so he can't walk 3 feet without, Jay, come do our show. Jay, what's going on? Hey, good to see you. So you're the mayor.
I'm a relationship guy, man. I collect relationships over the years. That's kind of like my equity, and I need it. Like I always say, I need teammates.
Yeah.
And the NFL for me is one big teammate.
Yeah. How different is it for you when Fox has the game compared to a non-Fox Super Bowl?
Well, I go to parties when they don't have the game, and I don't go to them when we do have the game.
That's pretty different.
Yeah, but we're filming nonstop, and you try and stick more with your team during that time also. But yeah, people think like, oh, you're going to the game. Hey, what parties are you going to? I'm like, I am going to my freaking bed. I ain't going to any parties this week. And my wife is here, and she hasn't been to a Fox Super Bowl yet too. And I said to her, hey, babe, I don't know if you're going to, I don't know how you're going to handle, think about this, but like, there's no parties the week Fox has it. And she goes, oh, thank God. She's like, last year was too much for me. Okay, good.
Jay, you are the ultimate insider. So a lot of news here. You're based in L.A., so I'll start with the news that just came out. Cooper Kupp, Cooper Kupp announces on his own social media channel that he's expected to be traded. Yeah. What do you think happens with Kupp and the Rams?
So I know it's interesting. The Steelers did call about him. But so during that trade deadline, I did ask Sean. I asked him before anything, hey, man, is Cooper on the trade block? I'm hearing he is. He goes, no, he's not. Just a couple teams have called. And I said, well, you want to trade him? And because that's a lot of what I'll do also behind the scenes of like how kind of the go-between a lot. And he's like, no, dude, if we're somebody else, okay, but this guy's different to me. This is like a wedding party kind of guy. So no, I don't. Like, no. And I said, even if you get like a two for him, he goes, somebody else, yeah, but no, not him. So he's always had this affinity for Cooper. So that's how I was a little surprised when Cooper kind of came up. But I'm sure they said to him, hey, you do whatever you feel is going to help you the most in this situation.
We kind of kicked off the week with one even bigger in Myles Garrett on the reverse side, him requesting the trade.
I'm surprised he didn't do that earlier.
Yeah.
I'm really surprised. I remember years ago when Myles had that incident with
Mason
Rudolph.
Okay?
Yeah. I was going to sit with Myles and have an exclusive with Myles that week, and the Browns stepped in and told him not to. And not only did they tell him not to, it was almost like this threat of if you do, there become ramifications. And I'm like, good, man, let there be ramifications. Yeah. If you can get out of there, get out of there. Like, man, you'll get paid so much more. Don't let them bully you into this. And it came from the top. It came from Jimmy Haslam. And I was like, man, do it. Do what you need to do to get your version. Because I tell these guys a lot of times, too, the court of public opinion closes really fast. And when guys say, hey, the facts will come out in a month or two, we're not thinking about it anymore.
No, I know.
So you got your version of this. You put it out. And, with a guy like me, I don't take shots. I just hear it. So I'm surprised he didn't do it earlier, to be honest with you.
Do you think that it drags out, or do you think the team will actually be open to this? Because it sounds like they're dug in from the outside. But obviously Myles Garrett has said, I've played my last down for the team.
We'll see what happens. I've seen both things happen.
Yeah.
So 1 year after Strahan won the sack record, I was working at CBS. And I actually broke into the NCAA, I think it was the Elite Eight or Final Four, something.
Right.
With Greg Gumbel, the great Greg Gumbel, coming on saying, hey, our NFL insider Jay Glazer reporting, Michael Strahan, his Giants career is over. He will never play there again. He's demanding trade, all this. And Strahan's my best friend. It's my baby sister, so I know his mindset. I'm like, this guy's never going to play there again. Clearly he played there again for the next 10 years. So, things have a way of working themselves out. Sometimes they don't, and they make sure they can move on somewhere. I think it's a better way to go about this of like, hey, now let everybody throw their best offer. And, and I will say this to the Browns. Don't say no to anybody. Listen to everybody, because you never know if somebody's going to make a ridiculous, like a Ricky Williams type trade or Herschel Walker. You never know.
Yeah, for sure. I think for us here in the world of fantasy football, one of the biggest stories we're looking at is what's going to happen at the Vikings quarterback position. Obviously, Sam Darnold was terrific. Jefferson, Addison, they have a lot of fantasy superstars. What are your expectations that happens here? Is Darnold back with the Vikings? Does he go somewhere else? Do they confidence in J.J. McCarthy?
I don't know the answer to that yet.
Okay.
I don't, because I know they're still going over their options. That's the only reason. Like, I know, and I've talked to them about it also, and they don't have to go through those options quite yet. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Look, they could franchise Sam, right?
Yeah.
Sit there and go, okay, do we want to have Sam back another year or two and let JJ learn? Because JJ really didn't get, what he needed, and then obviously he had to go back in for surgery. So you don't know how much that sets you back. But I tell you what, man, like if you're a quarterback in this league, you definitely want to get coached by a Kevin O'Connell, right? You want to get coached by Matt LaFleur. You want to get coached by Sean McVay, by Kyle Shanahan. So, I mean, Kevin is as good as they get. So I think either way they're kind of looking at it like, okay, either if we take Sam and we re-sign him for a couple of years, or we franchise him, whatever, or we take JJ, we're going to be okay there because of the guy who's coaching him. And listen, there's a difference between a play caller and a developer, right? There's certain guys out there, man, they just call plays, and other guys who develop you. And as a quarterback, the development never ends. Like Tom Brady's my teammate now, so I get to talk to him all the time. And I hear the stuff he did, even at the end of his career, working with throwing coaches, working with this, he had to work with a guy, Tom House, doing all these other things, working with Alex Guerrero just on his body. But it doesn't stop. The development is a forever thing. And you want a guy who's going to develop these guys as well as call plays, and you got both in Kevin.
Speaking of a guy like that, Russell Wilson obviously has had a long career and going back to free agency. Pete Carroll, I mean, this is kind of connecting dots.
That ain't going to happen.
That one's over, right?
That's not going to happen.
That one's over. Do you think it's more likely Russ goes back to the Steelers? Because the ending there was also a little weird, too. So just a new start for Russ.
I think you'll see a new start for Russell Summerall.
Yeah.
Who is the starting quarterback of the Steelers? Do you think it's Justin, or do you think it's somebody?
I don't know. And again, like, these guys are the Senior Bowl. I was texting my Tomlin the other day. He's the Senior Bowl. Yeah, like, they're thinking about so they can compartmentalize only so much. So Senior Bowl, right? And then all of a sudden, next week they have combine meetings, right? And so they're going to have to start talking about free agency and what's out there. But I don't think they know who their starting quarterback's going to be yet.
One of the things
I think Arthur Smith did a hell of a job there this year with both those guys. He got a lot out of Justin, got way more out of Russell than I thought also. And I think the problem, too, the way I saw it, was like hey, Russ, you're going to play Steelers football. Like, we're okay being a 3rd and 2 team, right? That's it. There's no let Russ cook stuff anymore, right? And I think when they started having success, Russ is like, oh, this is me. I got this. And they're like, no. Get back to how we were doing it. Right. But that's Russell. Like, hey, I'm this. And I get it. You have to have a certain ego to play that and be great at that position.
One of the things, Jay, for sure, it'll be fascinating to see how that all plays out. One of the things we talked about yesterday was the running back free agent market. Saquon, Derrick Henry, last year, so much talk about, hey, running backs aren't really getting
paid.
Think
they could reset it, yeah.
Right, and obviously, tremendous success. But the free agent market for running backs this year isn't great. Aaron Jones kind of leads the list of free agent running backs, and it's an incredibly deep draft class with running backs. So do you think that I'm curious how you see the running back free agent market this year. Like, does it overcorrect because of the success of Henry and Saquon, or
here's the difference.
Yeah.
The guys who really did have the success, right? And Josh Jacobs too, right?
Sure.
They're physical runners. Yeah. Right? They're physical dudes. They're going to pound you, right? And they're, man, so I think it'll correct somewhat, but you don't have those names on the market.
Yeah, it's a lot thinner. It's more Najee Harris, J.K. Dobbins, are really the top of that market. Right. Wide receiver market, though, there is a star at the top in Tee Higgins, and everybody's kind of trying to figure out, will the Bengals be able to keep him, or is he finally going to get to the open market? Do you have a lean on either side of that? Because obviously it's a lot of money to wide receiver
him, but obviously with Jamar also, they would do it. So I think they'll try and keep him. I don't know the answer to that. Because I keep flip-flopping back and forth on that.
Well, here's my question, because I'm a diehard Washington fan, Commanders fan. Right. Amazing year, awesome. Do we think we get T? Like, they need to get some help, obviously, from McLaurin. It's not just that
there's so many teams who are looking at him right now.
Yeah.
Same thing. Like, there's going to be, and that's a thing too. Like, man, how much do you pay for that guy? Kind of like like an Ayuk.
Yeah.
Right? Man, you're going to pay an awful lot for somebody like that who, T, is he a pure one? Right? You can't really tell because it's Jamar over there.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So you're going to pay him like a pure one. Somebody has to be really convicted. A lot of people overvalue that, but he also might be, he might be that pure one. You just don't know because he had Jamar on the other, and he has Joe Burrow too. Like, it's like we can say what we want about Saquon, but he wouldn't have had this year on the Giants with that offensive line.
No, of course not.
Two totally different things, right?
Yeah.
Jay, we know we got some time with you today
Yep.
because of your partnership with Supernus. What are you doing with them and ADHD awareness and everything along the lines of that?
I actually look. I've talked to Matthew and I. We talked about it too about mental health, and thank God I've been able to come out and talk about this a couple of years ago. And as a result, look, I have clinical depression, ADHD, anxiety, bipolar, LMNOP, you name it, I got it. Right? Like I go big, and I hid it for all these years. I created this character, the Glaze, and. Now, I'll never forget the first time I actually came out and said anything about it. Mercedes Lewis, who I've trained starting year 3, who's now going to year 20, says, Coach, I knew you were crazy and that's a badge of honor in football and fighting, but I didn't know you were in pain. I'm sorry. I got you. And literally now calls me twice a week, every week.
That's
Michael
awesome.
Phelps, FaceTimes, 3 times a week, back and forth. So because I've been open about it, I've been able to get a lot more help. And when I first got diagnosed with ADHD in 1989, I got put on stimulants, and I had to explain to my teachers what it was, and it was a rough existence. They told me I had a learning disability. I'm like, I don't got a learning disability. I just don't learn the way you teach. I am not, with ADHD, capable of sitting in a 3-hour lecture. But clearly, I can do 6 jobs at once. So I've looked at also like where it becomes my superpower. But I got off all these medications a long time ago because the stimulants were making my dark gray really, really dark and scary. And Qelbree came along. It's a non-stimulant. I take it at night, which you can never do with a stimulant drug, and it's made all the difference in the world for me. And I've been on I've tried over 30 other pharmaceuticals for my other mental health issues, and I haven't found relief in anything yet, and I finally found something. But like for my depression, anxiety, being of service helps, and having teammates helps. That's why we talk about this here. But I've learned breath work and meditation and gratitude list. And I say a prayer now with my wife every morning and every night, and I'm able to do stuff. But to have something else that helps me, like Qelbree, for years I just felt like I was drowning. When you have ADHD, it feels like you're drowning. And the only way for you to get a breath of fresh air is to disrupt the class and get in trouble, is to fidget, is to have an outburst. And I got punished all the time growing up. So I wish I had this growing up. And I'm glad I have it now.
It is awesome, and it is awesome that you've been so open and shared, and you've helped a lot of people. Listen, I have a daughter with ADHD, and so it's incredible. The work you do with that is incredible. The work you do for Fox is incredible. You are a friend, whether you're outside with a bunch of firefighters or just stuck at a party and need to get in. Jay Glazer is your guy. Continued success to you, my friend. Have a great broadcast
Appreciate
on Sunday.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jay.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotoWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest RotoWorld fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.